a look back at Saturday yet, David? Is there anything different you've found that can give you some hope for ahead of Tuesday?
I think the fact you say to give me some hope, 100%. I think the first 15 minutes, especially. It's definitely a team that started the game on the front foot. Everyone we'd worked on. Players 100% still running for me, still trying to do the best they can do, still caring about what they're doing, still trying to be the best they can be. But I'm obviously sitting here again going to be quite repetitive about things we've already mentioned previously. The benefit of it is we've not got time to stew on it. Football moves on very quickly, and the chance of the game on Tuesday night, how quickly the game turns around, the game coming up, gives us a chance to try and put that right as quick as you can. I think that's a benefit for us in this situation at the moment, that the game comes quicker rather than having to wait all week till the next game.
I know you speak to Malky and Ben on a regular basis. Has there been any chat after Saturday? What can you tell us?
As I said before, even constant communication after the game. We both, with Ben and Malky, continue to do that. Obviously, hugely frustrated again with the scoreline. When you look at the scoreline, that's the big thing from our point of view. I can talk about excuses, red cards, decision making, the way we started in the game, and you have to take the positives for these sort of things, because it is players are low on confidence as well. So we need to make sure that we are still remaining as positive as we can, because we need to be, because it's only us that can change this and turn it around. And I think that's the key message to the players at the moment, which is, when it is difficult, and times are difficult like they are at the moment, you need to roll your sleeves up. You need to show exactly why you were brought to this club and why you're a football player, to play for such a good club. And the criticism that comes with it, you need to be man enough to stand up and take that. And that's the challenge for everybody on Tuesday night.
When you have these chats, though, at no point do you feel this is it, this is the end?
No, until someone tells me otherwise. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and expect everything's all right. Of course it's not. I'm not delusional in that respect. It's a difficult moment for everybody, but it isn't going to change for feeling sorry for myself or thinking or start doubting what I'm doing. 100%. I said it after the game as well. Until someone tells me otherwise, I'm going to give absolute everything for this football club, as I always have done, and I still firmly believe given the time I will turn this around. I also appreciate how long do you give it. If you can't keep winning games of football, I'm not going to sit here and shy away from that as well. But again, on Tuesday we've got a chance to try and turn that around.
Can I ask you about a couple of players? First of all, what focus on Ellie Ewan, particularly at the red card when he was playing keepy up. One of your former colleagues, Marvin Bartley, was pretty cynical in his thoughts on that. What are your thoughts on that at that time?
I think anyone who knows Ellie Ewan knows he loves football. He loves being on the pitch. He's enjoying football. That's when he's happiest, when he's on the pitch. I'd fully understand it if the game was about to go on, or I hadn't had the information on, or actually if I'd pulled all the players across and he wasn't over and he was doing his own thing. Then I would understand exactly the magnitude of making the point on it. But I didn't see it at the time. My information went on very quickly as to what we wanted to do at the red card, especially for the next 5 minutes, just to see what Dundee would do, to be honest, because of how well we started in the game. So the plan was on very quickly. He knew exactly where he was and he went into position very quickly. So I think a lot's been made of it, but I think if you actually know him, I don't think there's any malice in what he was doing. But I understand why the question would be asked and why Marvin singled out especially his feelings on it.
The second one is the goalkeeper, Joseph Bursey. Another mistake on Saturday. When do you change it? When do you have that big call to make, or is it now?
I've always got big calls. I've had big calls for a number of weeks, because there's been, not just Joe, there's been a lot of players making individual errors. That's been a common theme from us this season. I think, I don't know what it is exactly, 14 points for winning positions. And I think the biggest issue we've had is we're almost beating ourselves. When you look at the goals we've conceded in the games in which, or the decisions we've made in games that have cost us games, unfortunately for goalkeepers, when they make a mistake, they very often get punished, and when they do get punished, it leads to a goal. So he's going through a real difficult moment, and it's a situation that it's not great for everybody involved. But again, it's about everybody doing everything they possibly can. The goalies are working as hard as they can every day in training to make sure you try and rectify the problems that we're facing. But we need to stick together, most importantly.
It just seems that there's a nervousness now at the back, with the back four, with the goalkeeper. And how do you make sure that that's not there?
You just need to keep working hard. I think, listen, like you said there, you talk about Well, there is competition as well, so you still need to, like, for example, Rocky coming in at the weekend, credit to how he's trained for the last 6 months, not playing the amount of game time that he wanted to play, but ready to come in and step in and done well in the game. Still individual errors within it, but it is, as I've already said there, it's a situation where there's numerous individual errors that are happening, that we are being punished for, but you can feel sorry for yourself or you can roll your sleeves up, and whatever 11 players take off pitch, start the game, the players that start the game will never finish the game. There's always subs that come on, you need to be ready, but every single person involved needs to be puff the chest out and be ready to take criticism at the moment that we're going through. It's a tough time, you need to be ready for that, you need to accept that, but you also need to come out the other end of it. The only way you do that isn't by feeling sorry for yourself, it's by doing everything you can to change it and working as hard as you can.
And finally for me then, the positive aspect of tomorrow night is if you win, you're off the bottom of the table. Is that the message to the players? It doesn't matter how they do it, but they do it.
Yep, that's exactly it. It's about results. I've talked a lot about performances over the last 14 games, 13 games, situations where we've let ourselves down. That all goes out the window. It's about results. It's about points as quickly as we can get them. And like you've rightly said there, the incentive is if you win the game, you get off the bottom of the table. I just look at it and just see the next game as the situation we're in, where the club finds itself. We need points as quickly as we can. It's clear, David, speaking to you, that you're desperate to turn this around. I just wonder personally how big a toll this period has taken on you. Oh, it's been tough. Of course it's tough. I would never say it's been easy. Of course not. It's tough for everybody involved though. I knew it was going to be a challenge taking the job. I never shy away from that. I never ever thought it was going to be easy. I do think I'll benefit for this in the long term because I'm learning a lot about myself, even just personal life, how to deal with adversity all the time. It's a big thing because it is my responsibility to change it, and I carry that, and I'm prepared for that. I'm also responsible for the rest of the staff that are feeling it as well, because everyone is working as hard as they can to try and turn us around. It's not as if I'm feeling, and even the players, I'm seeing, as I talked about for the first 15 minutes in the game there, how well we started the game. That's not a team that's chucked it for the manager or not wanting to play or not desperate to turn it around. So it's about staying as positive as you can, believing in what I'm doing and sticking to what I'm doing and working harder every single day to try and turn it around. Because like I say, until someone tells me otherwise, I really care about the football club. I've been here for a long time. I understand what it means to play for the club, to be here for as long as I have, and I'm desperate to turn it around. In terms of that belief that you mentioned, that inner belief, how easy or difficult is it to not doubt what you're doing and not doubt your own process and stick to that when there is outside noise, there's heat from the stands or whatnot? Is that easy? Is that difficult? How is that for you to stick to your own personal beliefs and processes? No, I think, as I've said, it's what I've done through this whole process, because I always try and take the positives from what we're doing, but I also firstly look at myself to say, did I get that right? Whether it be decisions in games, whether it be what we're doing tactically. But a lot of the issues we've been facing this season, and this is not me passing the blame, which is, because it is my responsibility, is individual errors or decision makings within times that we're being punished for. But also, I think I speak to people out with the game, I speak to people around about me that I get advice from, no, not reassurance, but just to make sure that I am doing what I'm doing. I speak to my family to make sure we're doing, I'm not taking out on them as well. That's a big thing. I think that's something you need to be mindful of, because they live it as well, 100%, and the kids live it as well. So it is, listen, it's a difficult time for absolutely everybody involved, but nobody wants it to turn more than me, that's for sure. These individual errors, they've been happening for so long. What else can you try and do to ensure that they stop? Because as you mentioned, when they go out on the field, it's these individual errors that are costing you, but they have been happening for so long. Mm-hmm. When do you then need to change what you've been doing? Because they still just steam. Yeah, I think, listen, a lot of it can be down to a number of things. If I knew exactly what it was, then if I had a magic wand that I could just stop someone making an individual error. Nobody does this on purpose at all. You take Jordan's, for example. I think he takes a poor touch, and then it's the desperation not to make one mistake become another mistake. He's desperate to try and rectify that. I'm not saying it's not a foul. Of course, it's a red card just because of the manner in which he goes in. Joe Newell's very similar. It's not the initial touch that's the problem. They're then trying to rectify the problem. There's no malice in the tackles that they're doing. But unfortunately, the moments are big moments in the game that we've been costly. It's costing us. So I think it's not as if it's always the same player every single week, or it's an inexperienced player. Sometimes they're two really experienced players in the moments. But they know themselves as soon as that happens. Nobody does it on purpose. And I think in isolation, when you look at just like Jordan's performances of late, especially, have been very good. You know, he's been very consistent, played a lot of games. So one thing you don't do is I don't just shut the door on someone who makes one genuine, honest mistake. You know, we need to learn from it. Of course we do. But again, you need to stick together. You need to make sure that they still have the belief when they go on the football pitch that I still trust them. I still give them the belief to go and play the way I know they can play. And also the responsibility of a player to take the accountability, to put themselves out there, to be strong enough to take the criticism, but also respond in the right way, because that's the only way you come out the other side of it.
You said obviously 14 points lost from winning positions. As frustrating as that is, does that give you some heart that if you can just find a way of cutting out these errors, that you are capable of actually getting into these positions in games and potentially winning a lot more?
Yeah, I think so. I think, listen, it's very hard for someone to justify the fact that we find ourselves at the bottom of the league. You've talked about 14 points there, but I also think about every single game we've played, probably bar the Celtic game, in moments against St Mirren, first half St Mirren, and then early on in the season, the first game of the season, second half. Large parts of the game, I think we've been well in the game, or if not dominating games at times. We know we've not scored enough goals when we have been on top, but I take a lot of confidence from how we've played within the games. And like I say, the areas in which we've let ourselves down hasn't always been down to the opposition. Now, the opposition will always say that's what they've worked on or whatever, but a lot of the time it's been, you know, our own errors that have cost us. And I think that's something that, as you've just touched on there, if we can cut them out, we'll certainly be in a much better place from it. And I think the players will get a lot more confidence from that as well. And as I say, I think there's very fine margins at the moment, but if we can put that right, this will turn around very quickly.
Obviously, Aberdeen are coming down here on the back of their first league defeat of the season. Does that give you a wee bit extra hope as well?
Not really. I think they've had a fantastic start to the season. My full focus is on us, purely just trying to get a reaction from obviously the disappointment of Saturday night. And I think they'll be in the same position as us as the game comes around really quickly, so there's no time for them to stew on the defeat. They'll just be looking forward as players. I've put myself in that position as a player, want to get back on the pitch again to try and put it right.
You said on Saturday you expected a strong start at Dundee, you got it. Have you detected that coming in today, that you're going to get a strong start tomorrow as well? Well,
that's a challenge. It's a challenge to the players, like I've touched on already. I think that's the message coming in isn't, you know, tactically we'll be ready. We'll make sure they always are. They know exactly what to expect from the opposition. Aberdeen are a good side. It's going to be a tough test. It'll be a good game, I'm sure. They always are. But this is a situation when you are up against it and you're dealing with adversity that you know you need to roll your sleeves up and be ready to play against your opponents 11v11 at the end of the day, and you need to be better in the opposition.
Team news anything in or out from the weekend apart from Jordan?
Well, Jordan will be out, yeah, and obviously Marvin's still out, so it'll be a similar squad to what it was.
Joe Newell's not suspended yet, is he?
No, not yet. No, I think it takes so many days to get to that point, so no, he'll still be available.